Honestly, if you only became a Taylor Swift fan after Reputation, I'm sorry, but you don't get to have a say in what songs do or don't go into the set list of the ERAS tour. This is an event for the OGs. And as you know, on this channel, I love to educate all my Swiftologists on the happenings of, past times that maybe some of us weren't around for. But unfortunately, this is an event for the OGs. And I feel as though all of these TikTok Swifties, etc., should just respectfully keep their distance away from sharing their insane ideas about what should or shouldn't be played on the ERAS tour. Today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I think the ERAS tour should be structured from a setlist perspective, as well as give a little bit of a concept, because I love to come up with harebrained schemes. So I'll give you a concept on how I think the show should run, what the staging should look like, maybe a little bit about what the costume should be, and most importantly, what songs deserve to make the cut and what don't. And because this is an ERAS tour, I want to stress to you that it's got to emphasize all the different dimensions of her career. And the problem with the hits tour for Taylor is that she has so many songs that deserve to be included just from singles alone. We couldn't even pack in all the singles into this set list. So if you want to give the deep cuts a chance to shine, you really have to be very cruel and exacting with your knife when you're cutting the biggest and baddest bitches out of the set list. And I may have some controversial takes here. There might be some albums that many of you feel are not well represented on this, but I've tried to do an all-rounded representative walkthrough of Taylor Swift's career. In case you've been living under a rock, Taylor Swift has announced the US dates of her ERAS tour, where she will be enchantedly presenting a concert that will envelop every single era that has contributed to the masterpiece that is her current discography today. And I was so excited and also bamboozled when I heard that this was coming, because I was so sure that we were going to get a Midnights tour and that we would only do a greatest hits tour when the re-recordings had been completed. So what this announcement means regarding the re-recordings, I have no idea. I mean, we have all of those Easter eggs from Bejeweled. I would say it's going to be pretty likely that we'll have the majority of the re-recordings out before tour starts, which is in March next year. So I think the business bitch is going to hustle her way through the rest of this year. I'm hoping that we're going to get Speak Now and 1989 by the end of the year, an announcement at least. I don't think we're going to get them entirely unless she wants to do a surprise drop. I have a feeling she's just trying to get them out of the way ASAP so that she can move on with her life and do what she wants to do, which is be a bad bitch and be the biggest pop star in the world. So that is absolutely her right, and I am very much looking forward to hearing the new re-recordings. I can definitely see that some of the albums, I've hypothesized about this before, I don't think that all of the vault tracks are going to be created equal. I think some albums will have vaults that are quite nearly empty. For example, 1989, I feel like she was so considered and deliberate in picking those songs and writing them in a very specific, linear, cohesive way that I'm just not sure that there's going to be a really sophisticated repertoire of stuff that we haven't heard before that could carry a whole album cycle. So I think that maybe she'll do a double release of Speak Now in 1989. She kind of hinted at that to kind of assuage our demands for more and more vault tracks. If we only get one or two off of each album, that's fine if they come together, right? But if they come alone, we might get angry, or I won't, but you know how these bitches be acting. My name is Zach, I'm a journalist by trade and a Swiftie by choice, and this is my YouTube channel, Swiftologist, where I like to dissect the public life of my favorite pop persona, Taylor Swift, and talk about other relevant pop culture topics that I find interesting. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to like this video, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, and subscribe. We are gonna hit 13,000 subscribers soon, I hope, and that is going to be a very fortuitous experience, and everybody who contributes to that goal will get blessed. So make sure to subscribe. And let's just start with my concept. So I don't want there to just be one stage on this tour. I would love it if there were different stages spread throughout a stadium, because this is a stadium where she has a lot of space to work with, and obviously she's Taylor Swift, so she has the highest budget in the world. She can truly go balls to the wall with this, and we kind of saw something in line with what I'm going to explain to you on the Reputation tour, because we had that big main stage, but then we also had two huge B stages that she spent a considerable amount of time on at the back of the stadium. Now, in years prior, she might have had a small B stage that she went to for a couple of songs, but she certainly didn't spend like a quarter of the show out there, playing to the masses. As she's gotten bigger and started playing bigger audiences, it's more important that she works the room from all these different areas. So I would love it if there were multiple stages included in this one show. And I think that the ERAS as a concept is a great execution prompt to create different stages within one kind of unified cohesive theme. So I think there should be a main stage, and I'm kind of torn on how and where the main stage should be situated. I have two kind of creative reference points visually for this. So I'm thinking of Lady Gaga's Born This Way Ball tour from like 2011 and U2's 360 Experience tour. Now the 360 Experience tour is kind of like an alien spaceship thing that took place all at the center and then had like these flying arms that kind of like went off into the crowd. That could be kind of like where the center stage for this theme that I'm going to tell you about is, but also I could see just her having the stage in its normal spot, kind of towards the back of one end, and then all of the different stages coming out in kind of a circle around it. So I'm not particularly attached to either idea, but let's just say the main stage, the idea is either it's going to be a clock, like for Midnights, or it's going to be a castle, as in, you know, she's reclaimed her fortunes and she's the queen again, and everything is like right in the universe. So that's the kind of place where we start and end the show, on a jubilant, like joyful, forward-looking moment. And I think that the castle or the clock could be really cool concepts to emerge on from the stage. So I think that there should be 8 stages. Does this include the main stage? I think so. No, it doesn't. 8 stages, all right? Now, I've combined Folklore and Evermore into one stage because they are like essentially one album. So they don't each get their own stage because the staging would be pretty much the same. But the way that I'm thinking of it is it's a loop, a circle that goes around the stadium in 8 different kind of islands. So my other creative reference for this is the Speak Now Tour B stage that had this beautiful tree that was like all light up and cool on this tiny, tiny little rotating stage. Now, think of that, but I want to make it huge, like the size of the Reputation B stages, maybe a little bit smaller just because, you know, we have to fit 8 of them in the entire 80,000 person stadium. And each of them would maybe have a tree, because I feel like that would be such a cool kind of like, obviously if we're gonna have different stages, they're all gonna be like different themes and different designs. The one thing that could tie them all together would be these little trees, and it would definitely be kind of a nod to Taylor's past and her growth and her development as an artist. And each tree could be like a different kind of tree that means something, and I picked a different tree for each stage because I'm insane and I have too much time on my hands. Okay, so let me get into the set list now. I think that we should have an intro video, not an interlude, but like an introduction video that is similar to the Reputation tour intro video. So it's kind of like spoken word, and it also has clips and visuals from her entire career. Now, I want this to be with Dear Reader in the background. Now, I don't want it to be like the song playing all the way through. I want it to have like closure, kind of like scratches and like record spinning, anticipation building instrumentals, and we just have her disembodied voice being like, Dear Reader. And then, you know, we have some like instrumentals, and then it's Bend When You Can, and then we have like different visuals of her kind of accommodating or bouncing back from things that were hard from her. For an example, her talking about Scooter and Scott taking her masters in that interview where she goes, ugh, and she just says, of course I'm gonna re-record them all. And then Snap When You Have To, we could include a video of her from Miss Americana having that little breakdown that she had about feeling like the world was all on top of her. So what I really want to emphasize here is, you know, her connection to the fans and the storytelling ability, and how we're really going through her different trials and tribulations and having a career retrospective, honestly. So that's the kind of precedent that I want to establish with this intro video, but it's very exciting. I know it sounds kind of like sad, but it will also be interspersed with like all the different like lessons that she's learned, because that song is very much her talking to us as her fans and being very candid and raw and honest with us. And I think it would be like a minute long, like not too long. It's just an introduction. She's not singing. It's like pre-recorded vocals over it. And then we get into the opening number, which is, and some of you are not going to be happy about this, it's Lavender Haze. I think Lavender Haze is an excellent tour opening song. It has like a very kind of like vibey anticipation. I can just hear the swell building of that vocalization that comes in at the beginning of the song and her rising up from under the stage. It would be legendary. And then after Lavender Haze, we would go straight into Anti-Hero, because it's got to be back-to-back bangers. And like I said, we have no time to waste. We have a whole career to get through, so we can't be precious about saving every best song until last, because there are so many best songs that, you know, something just has to go last, something has to go first, something has to go in the middle. So Anti-Hero comes up second, because I feel like it's always good to have a big sing-along right at the start of the show, kind of like how mine was the second song on the Speak Now tour. Then we get into my first mashup of the night. So I have medleys and I have mashups. Mashups are when all of the songs come together and work as this like Frankenstein number. A medley is just taking like different shorter parts of songs and doing them sequentially, like one after the other without a break. So this is the first mashup, and I actually don't think I have that many mashups per se, but this one is, so it's Maroon. We start with Maroon, and then we go into Red, and then we go into Dress, and then we go into I Don't Want to Live Forever. Now, I know some of you are thinking you are insane. What is this idea? It is a terrible idea, but it's not. Let me explain it to you. So Maroon in the chorus has a lot of empty space to fill between the lines. So, and I, blank, chose you, blank, the one, blank. I was dancing with in New York. Do you see what I mean? There's room to add in little refrains there. And so all of those other songs that I'm talking about, Red, Dress, and I Don't Want to Live Forever, I'm not saying that we do a full production of them with Maroon. I'm saying that we throw little lines of them in there. So kind of like how Should Have Said No didn't get a full moment during Bad Blood, it just kind of got little lines here and there, but it still went all the way off. So here's exactly where I could see those lines fitting in. And I comes back to me, chose you, burning red. You see just like kind of that refrain over and over throughout the chorus. It's not a full recognition or acknowledgement of red, but it's like a cute interpolation into a song that's, you know, obviously its sister because it's called Maroon. Then when we get to the bridge of Maroon, I wake with your memory over me. Imagine after she says that line, we go straight into I've been looking sad in all the nicest places. That's a real fucking legacy. And that becomes the bridge for Maroon. So do you see what I mean? It's an interpolation. It's not exactly a, you know, we're inviting I Don't Want to Live Forever onto the set list, but we're acknowledging her. We're giving her a shout out. And then at the very end, the lips I used to call home. So Scarlet, it was the very last. And then it goes, carve your name into my bedpost because I don't want you like a best friend. Only bought this dress so you could take it off. And then finish, we're done. And I just think that that would be such a slinky, sexy, vibey serve, and it would really keep everybody on their toes. And you don't know what's going to be coming in next. That's what I love the most about a mashup, is that you don't know exactly how much of a song is going to be worked in while it's happening. You just know that you're living in the moment. And that's really what I'm going for, ultimate living throughout this entire experience. So then my idea is that all of these little B stages are connected by a catwalk, right? So like a little place where she can strut down to the next stage. And for some of these moments, I have decided to have transition songs. So a song that leads us from one stage to another, from one part of her career to the next. Now I did think of trying to like maybe thematically group all of these little islands, but I think it's better and easier to just go through, you know, linear in the sense of her career because it makes sense. So the transition song from the main stage, where we've just done a bunch of like Midnights, really upbeat bangers, is You're On Your Own, Kid, because we're going straight from Midnights all the way back to the beginning, to debut, to this person that she's telling things about. And I really felt when I heard You're On Your Own, Kid for the first time that it was such a debut song, and there were so many moments in that where I could see little debut Taylor living her best life and learning all the lessons. And so that is my transition song into the debut stage. And the debut stage is going to be set up like the bedroom from the Teardrops on My Guitar music video. And the tree here is going to be a fir tree or a Christmas tree. Now those trees are like very close to the ground. So I don't want it to be like smack bam in the center of the stage and she has to work around it. I want it to like be up, so maybe the trunk can be really long and then the tree goes up really high. But there's definitely got to be a bed there. There's got to be a bed and there's got to be a window with like curtains billowing through. That's what I need to have, because she's going to go up to that bed and she's going to pick up the sparkly guitar that's lying on the bed and she's going to sit there and look out the window pensively while the stage rotates and she sings Teardrops on My Guitar. Yep. And of course, obviously this is going to be with the sparkly guitar. And when she's done, so she's sitting on her bed, she puts the guitar down and the phone rings on the nightstand next to her bed. And she picks it up and it's a filtered voice going, our song is the slam of screen doors. And then we hear the fiddle come in and it's our song and the whole stage lights up and it gets a little bit more happy and, you know, the lighting gets a little bit more exciting. And then we have like little butterflies flying around everywhere. And after that, we will be going to the Fearless stage, and our transition song between the debut stage and the Fearless stage is, of course, You Belong With Me, because that set of like the bedroom with the bed and the window is something that she's also used for a performance of You Belong With Me in the past. So I think it's a nice link between debut and Fearless. So she'll start it, you know, in her room on a typical Tuesday night. Now, a lot of these songs will have to be shortened. We won't get all of them because there's just so much to get through here. But You Belong With Me is the transition song, which takes us straight to the Fearless stage. And the Fearless stage is going to have an oak tree because it's like sturdy foundations. This is when the craft really started to get good and where a lot of the growth developed and stemmed from. A lot of the hallmarks of Taylor Swift's songwriting came from here. And two of the very important ones are Wide-Eyed Optimism and I Really Want to Destroy Every Boy That Has Ever Wronged Me in My Entire Life. So the songs that I've selected for the Fearless element of this tour have really reflected that, I think. In my dream world, some of the stages are kind of like light projections, exactly like the Reputation tour, where they're not like a solid material, they're like glass or whatever, and they have LED lights underneath them, so you can have like cool projections and different things going on. So when we first get there after You Belong With Me, what's happening? It's storming. We have flashes of lightning, crackles of thunder. We have, you know, a sense of anticipation building. And what do we hear? Once upon a time, I believe it was a Tuesday when I caught your eye, and we go straight into Forever and Always. I'm thinking we would do the first verse, a chorus, the bridge, and then at the end of the bridge, we go right into Mr. Perfectly Fine, and we lift the mood up. So we've had that angry moment, we're gonna have many more throughout the show, but then we flip to the other side of Fearless, which I really think is the dominating and animating theme throughout Fearless, is this kind of like romantic hopefulness. So we get Mr. Perfectly Fine, which is still kind of a fuck you song, but it's a little bit more happy, and she can like have a jumping moment. I also think this gives a nod to the vault tracks, which we definitely need to acknowledge throughout the show, if not play all of them, just give some of them a moment to shine. And then for the next two songs, I want her to play her guitar, and the guitar that I want her to play is the Colorwood guitar, and this is the one that we saw a lot throughout the Fearless tour, and I want her to play Fearless, obviously, just because it's so fun, and we can bring back like the projection on the floor can be a like parking lot with a light shining on it, you know, glow off the pavement, you walk me to the car, and we can have like cute little rain motifs. And then the transition song between Fearless and Speak Now is, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, it's Today Was a Fairy Tale. Because it is a fun, jubilant, and happy song, and we're still in the happy phase of the show, even though we are, you know, about to transition into an extremely, you know, a little bit darker part of the show. But when she gets to Speak Now, you know, there's a lot of fairy tale and princess and whimsical imagery throughout that album and throughout this era of her life. So I think that Today Was a Fairy Tale works really perfectly here, and many of us do feel this magic in the air. So for us, we must be acknowledged. And then we will go to the Speak Now stage. And the Speak Now stage will basically have the same tree that the Speak Now tour had. We want to have a nod to that for sure. And I was really debating what songs to put here, because Speak Now is sad, and we can't have like 3 6-minute songs. It's just not economical when we have a whole show to get through. Like already, I think we're probably at like at least the 40-minute mark at this show, 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. And so I had to be very discerning and selective, and I still think that I padded out the Speak Now section a little bit too much, but you know, I have to honor my homegirl. Up first is Mine, and the imagery that I want to have at the beginning of this during Mine, like on the stage, is like an enchanted forest vibe. Like the pictures that she strung in the trees in the Mine music video, if she like got some pictures of her and Joe and her friends and her family and strung those up, that would be such a cute detail to have. And then after that, we get into kind of like a polar night theme. We go into like a very dark, like northern lights, but romantic, very like a little bit sensual, but very kind of like in the middle of the night, midnight thoughts basically. And what do we get? We get a full production of Enchanted, because we have to have it. It has to be done. I want it with the full backing. I want it with a full like orchestra basically. I do not want it on the guitar. Enchanted needs to have her moment. We have to have the filtered voice coming in for Please Don't Be in Love with Someone Else. Like it deserves its moment in the sun, and I think that it will get it because it's like had this resurgence on TikTok. And then towards the end, that night sky, that dark night sky will turn into dark water. And what's gonna be swimming through the water? The koi fish. From the koi fish guitar. Now I couldn't think of a moment where she could use the koi fish guitar here. I guess she could use it on Mine, although I love it when she uses an electric for Mine. But you know, if we can't have the guitar on the tour, then I at least want the koi fish to be swimming around the stage while she's singing the next little ditty that I put together. And the next combination of songs that I have decided to include are Midnight Rain, Back to December, and the Apologize remix from the Speak Now tour. Now, Midnight Rain, I feel like could be, it's such a short song that it really is kind of an interlude, and we don't need to get, I think, all of the versions of the chorus. We could just get like one chorus and then a verse and then another chorus and then the bridge, and then we're done. We can be done with that after it. But I think that Midnight Rain is so cute, and also it's one of those songs on Midnights, one of the only ones to me that I thought could fit in to another part of the show. And you'll kind of see this throughout the set list that I've made up, is that I've tried to intersperse Midnight songs where I felt they were appropriate throughout the different era stages. So Midnight Rain definitely gets to come in here, and many people think that I'm wrong, and I could be wrong, I probably am, but I think that Midnight Rain is a Taylor Lautner song. So I want it to proceed Back to December. And the Back to December Apologize remix is a serve. And I think that we can even just start Back to December from the bridge. We go from Midnight Rain, a piano comes up, a white piano, she goes straight into the bridge of Back to December, she does the It's Too Late to Apologize, maybe she even throws in that You're Not Sorry line, and then we go straight onto the Red stage. That's our next era, okay? So obviously we have to bring the mood kind of down a little when we go to Red, because Red is a heartbreak album at its like very core, and Red, obviously we have a fucking maple tree. Of course we have a maple tree. And my idea for this, like the obvious thing would be to just like make it red or like make it a red heart or something like that. But I want this stage, again, to have that like LED floor. And on the floor, I want it to be like a sidewalk or a street. I mean the maple tree above her, obviously. And then we have like little digital images of leaves slowly falling onto the floor and like piling up until we get to All Too Well, the 10-minute version, when, you know, the wind starts blowing the leaves around everywhere. Like, it'll be a cool visual. I mean, I don't know how to execute it, but that's my idea. So before we get to All Too Well 10 though, we have Holy Ground, because we have to acknowledge our unsung heroes. That's what an ERAS tour is for. This is not a greatest hits tour. You know, I might have referred to it as such, but it's the ERAS tour. It's supposed to be representative of her musical journey, and Holy Ground is kind of a unique song in her discography. There are only like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 songs that are like it in her entire collection of songs. So it's also an upbeat moment, and I wanted to have an upbeat moment without including only the obvious culprits, because We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, I Knew Your Trouble, 22 are the obvious upbeat moments from Red to include, but I feel like they don't tell the story of Red as well as Holy Ground or even State of Grace. These numbers that are not down tempo, but they're not like absolute pop bangers. And she's paid Holy Ground a lot of respect as of late, again, because we demanded her to. And I would like to continue that trend by keeping it here. Also, we need to have it with a full band. Like, it just deserves its moment. It goes sicko mode live. So we start with Holy Ground, and then we get into All Too Well 10. I mean, that takes up a lot of space, which is kind of annoying. We're gonna give her the Red acoustic guitar because, of course, you know, we're writing about an album called Red here. So that does not leave us much more time for another performance on the Red stage. So we're gonna do a transition song, and that transition song is I Knew You Were Trouble. Great strutting song. She knows how to give her sexy leg and strut and flick her hair and do all of that. We can have like the air cannons and the whole stadium can go red. That would be a really cute upbeat moment, because we are getting into a more upbeat moment part of the show as well. But I do want to give a little twist to it. So we have 1989, and the tree that I want to have here is like a super tree. So if you don't, in Singapore we have these things called super trees. They're basically like mechanical trees that produce a lot of oxygen, but they're really pretty and they light up at night. You can see a picture of it here. And I want her to have like a tree kind of like that, because 1989 is like a futuristic, femme fatale, fembot era. That was her cyborg moment. And towards the end of I Knew You Were Trouble, I want that little riff from I Wish You Would, the guitar do 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 do, to come in, and then we have like a little bit of the instrumental, but then once she actually arrives on the stage, it goes straight into Out of the Woods. Like that's, we go right into it. We do the first verse, and then at I Remember, we stop. We don't get into the whole song because, again, we don't have time, and Out of the Woods is good, but it serves a narrative purpose here, because she goes, I remember, and what happens? Question. Question comes in. That's basically, you know, Harry Styles. That's what 1989 is about, mostly, and this song is about Harry Styles, and I picked pretty much the like most obvious songs about him to include at this point in the show. So we just have, we have Question come in, everybody goes fucking crazy, because it's gonna go so hard live. The production on the album only really takes off in the last chorus, but I think live she could do something really fun with this song. So after Question, we're gonna have a little bit of a break, because I feel she's gonna have been like bopping around for a while after that, so we need to have a slightly down-tempo moment. And what we're gonna have is Wildest Dreams. And that's a good rest moment to have, because it's not like a sleepy song, it's still kind of, it gets people screaming and dancing and whipping their hair back and forth. So we'll have the spaceship piano from 1989 come out again. She can do maybe actually just the bridge and the last chorus, maybe the first verse too. We love the heartbeat sound. I think that that would be enough for Wildest Dreams. I don't think she needs to get like a full production, because the girl that's coming after her needs her whole moment. And who is that deserves the whole moment? It's Style. And listen, I want her to bring Sean Aubrey out and risk it all. That's really what I want to happen here, but it's not going to. So I guess we can just have one of her dancers come out and do like a sexy strutting, circling each other around the stage moment. But you know, Style has got to get its full run, because it's a masterpiece, literally top to bottom smash. So we get Style, and we're also grateful. Everybody screamed, everybody moved. And then our transition song is Bad Blood. Now keep in mind the transition songs are shortened versions of the actual songs, so I think that really it would just be like a verse and a chorus, just to get us from point A to point B, and point B is the Reputation stage. And Bad Blood is a good connective tissue from 1989 to Reputation. I mean, it basically, you know, covers part of the album's motif. So once we get to the Reputation stage, we have a wintry tree, like a dying tree, with like spiky, jagged edges and like branches that are like half sawn off. It'll be really cool. Maybe it could have studs on it or something like that. I don't know, very Reputation coded. And then we would actually start this. She would finish Bad Blood, and then there would be a moment of silence. And then it would go draw the cat eye sharp enough to kill a man. Now listen, it could be a cringy lyric, but it's going to go off live and everybody's gonna lose their minds. So Vigilante shit is short, and I feel like we could just do that line or maybe a little bit more and then go straight into Look What You Made Me Do, because they are both kind of those talk singing songs. They lead in very well to each other. So those together, and then we stop at I Don't Trust Nobody and Nobody Trusts Me. Although, no, we have to have the old Taylor Can't Come to the Phone right now because she's dead. Okay, so we stop there, and then we go straight into They're Burning All the Witches, Even If You Aren't One. And then we do that bridge and last chorus of I Did Something Bad. And then we can do a verse and a chorus of Don't Blame Me. So that's the medley for Reputation. That is also kind of a mashup at the beginning. So that's the first moment in the Reputation stage. Then after that, I think she will need a break again, because this obviously is gonna be a production, honey. Like, she's gonna have costumes, she's gonna have dancers, there's gonna be fireworks. Like, those songs are all very dramatic and severe. So after that, we'll give her a moment to catch her breath and do a long rambling speech to the audience, as she loves to do. And she can do Delicate, which is, she can be like, this is what the album was really about, and you guys picked up on that, blah, 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 and thank everybody for being the most amazing fans in the world, even though we're all fucking insane. Next up is a song and a transition song together in a mashup. So it's Bejeweled and Getaway Car, because Bejeweled really is a Reputation song. It sounds like it covers familiar terrain. It's literally like the missing piece. It's the prelude to Getaway Car by content alone. So we do Bejeweled all the way through. Like, because it's new, we have to give her the whole moment, and she deserves it too. And then at the end, we work into Getaway Car. We were Jet Set, Bonnie and Clyde, until I switched to the other side. Perhaps we can get a little car. It takes her on that catwalk to the Lover stage. And how do you go from Reputation to Lover and not make everybody in the audience want to tear their hair out? Well, I have an answer for you. Cruel Summer. Cruel Summer. Because Cruel Summer and Getaway Car, like, are sonically linked somehow. Like, they do sound like, I guess Cruel Summer is like a Reputation outtake. I really do think that it is. It doesn't really fit in with the rest of Lover anyway. So it goes straight into Cruel Summer, and we have a big moment. And obviously Lover has a palm tree, because it's like silly, casual, beachy vibes, I guess. And the floor can be another LED floor with like pink, beautiful skies and birds flying through them, like, you know, just very whimsical and dreamy. But we have Cruel Summer. We could do some really cool neon visuals with Cruel Summer. I would love to have on the floor what she had in the background for Getaway Car on the Reputation tour, if you know what I'm saying. I'm just spitting off references here. Sorry if this is hard to follow. If you are not a Swiftie, this video is literally in a different language, so I very much apologize, but this is for the Swiftologists only. So after Cruel Summer, again, we need to give her a break, because, you know, she should get 3 to 5 business days to recover after performing Cruel Summer. But, you know, we will give her a break in the form of a slower song. So we're gonna do a medley here. We're gonna go from Lover to Love Story, because, you know, they're linked, and they're also kind of both tempo-wise. They're not down-tempo, but they're not up-tempo. So they are mid-tempo is what I'm trying to say. They both kind of live in that existence, in that realm, so I feel like pairing them together would actually be a very cute and sweet thing, especially linking like her biggest hit about like love songs back to the song that she, you know, was her favorite song that she ever wrote of all time, about Joe. Having those two come together would be, I think, a really sweet, full circle ERAS tour moment. And for this, she's going to be playing her like Lover guitar with the different like sunset things on it. Cute. We love that for her, I guess. And then we have a space for a secret song. So we have to have a secret song on every tour. We just have to, because we have to allow a space for the forgotten heroes to get up on stage and have their moment. I'm thinking it should be If This Was a Movie every single night, but I don't think I'm ever gonna get my way. But either way, I'm gonna give Taylor the opportunity here to right some wrongs, and she can do, this would be a good space for her to do all of the inevitable Folklore Evermore songs that she's gonna have to cut. She could do one of those here. So secret song, everybody loves it, everybody screamed, and we're getting closer and closer back to the main stage now. So now we go to the last main stage, and what do you think should bring us there? What should bring us from Lover and Love Story and that era into the pandemic vibes, the introspective vibes, after the kind of disappointment that Lover was critically for Taylor? Even if you like it, I don't care. It's true that she felt as though she didn't hit her mark, because she completely changed her career after that. So after Lover, what do we think could bring us in as a good transition song? Mirror Ball, duh, I'm still on that tightrope. I'm still trying everything to keep you looking at me. And because there's a catwalk, we can put a little digital tightrope on it, and she can do her treacherous walk with her hands out, balancing, singing Mirror Ball. And I don't think we'll have time to do the whole Mirror Ball. We have to give her some representation, and it's one of the more upbeat, or has the potential to be scaled up songs on the Folk Evermore cinematic universe. So I'm giving her her moment here, and then we get to the Folk Evermore stage, and obviously the tree here is a willow. duh, what else is it gonna be, of course. And I think that like we would have the LED floor again, and we would start with the Choppy Waters from the Cardigan music video, because we're gonna start with a medley of Cardigan, August, and Betty. Now listen, those are not my favorite songs from Folklore, but I understand that they resonated really widely with the general public from Folklore, and they are very well received songs. So I think, and because they have a link, because they all are from the same story allegedly, I think that they should all go together, and then we don't have to suffer through them all like entirely in their entirety. We can just have little bits and pieces, snips and snaps. In August, everybody wants to have their moments screaming, "Meet me behind the mall," so let the girls have that. And then, so up next, I don't really think we have time to do both of these things. I would personally love to see a 7 and 15 mashup, but sonically I don't really know how that would go, but thematically they are definitely linked. I'm sure there's a way to make it happen, but more realistically, I think we could do an Invisible String and Willow mashup here, because Willow's instrumental definitely has the capacity to be scaled up to a fun song that you want to dance to. Her Grammys version of that is a really good example, and Invisible String is just such a sweet song, and I think that it says so much about where she is now in her life and how much her approach to like love and relationships and the past has changed over the years. So it'd be cute to have those two songs together, and then we have to get back to the main stage for our finale. And what song brings us all the way full circle back to the main stage? The transition song. It's just a little snippet, but it's important. What is it? Long story short, I don't even like that song that much, but I can really see the value in saying, "Past me, I want to tell you not to get caught up in these petty things. Your nemesis will defeat themselves before they get the chance to swing." That is an important moment that we should have towards the end of the show, because we're tying things up in a bow, right? Like we're coming to conclusions now. But also, the end of a show, it has to tie up the story, but it also has to be fucking like fun and a banger, and it has to leave people going, wow, 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 wow. So we're here, we're at the last part of the show, we're at the finale. What do we start it with? Straight into Shake It Off, immediately. Everybody's on their feet, everybody screamed, people are passing out, throwing up, ambulances are being called. Shake it off, dance our asses off. And it doesn't stop there, because what's coming next? Blank Space and Karma mashup. We the Swifties often underestimate and don't remember how impactful and powerful Blank Space was, especially to the general public. Like that song really did her a lot of favors in terms of image rehabilitation. And also it's one of those ones that when it comes on at a party full of like not Swifties, they go sicko mode for it. So we gotta give Blank Space her moment. She's also so fun to scream and shout. And when it comes to Boys Only Want Love If It's Torture, Don't Say I Didn't Warn You, silence, and then, because Karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god. Karma is the breeze in my hair on the weekend. Now, I don't know if we need to have the full Karma. I think we just need to have a chorus and then that kind of like outerlude that, I don't want to call it a bridge because it's just kind of like Karma is the thunder, blah, 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 and then the chorus again. The verses in Karma, to be honest, even though I did a whole dissertation on this, are not like that amazing. They don't need to be given like a full moment. So I think that combining them together is a good idea and also saves us some time. And then after that, I want to do her fake goodbye. Like, this is my last song, bye. And I want that to be Mastermind, because Mastermind really is like, I just think it says a lot about who Taylor Swift is as a person, her neuroses, where she is in her life, again, as a human being after all of the stuff that's happened to her. She has finally met her match in that someone can actually tell when she's being a mastermind, using her big galaxy brain, someone who can keep her on her toes and keep her honest and keep her humble, because Joe definitely can do that. And also Mastermind has that like stadium anthemic euphoric feeling. So after that, she pretends to say goodbye. She's like, goodbye, I love you, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, from under the stage, we hear, Gray November, I've been down since July. And she comes up on her piano with her braid, with her Evermore braid, not in the jacket because that's too much, but she's got the braid, and she's sitting there singing Evermore, and she does, you know, up to the part where Bon Iver comes in, and then she goes into Long Live, kind of like the way that she did with Reputation when she did Long Live and New Year's Day, and then she trades off lines with Long Live and Evermore. I was catching my breath, I was screaming long live all the mountains we moved. Do you see what I mean? And then it ends. That's the real conclusion. That's the goodbye. That's the full circle moment that we really needed, the weepy moment. I actually love when we have like a big closer, like Shake It Off and Blank Space, but then the real closer is a slow, introspective moment. And I think it's true. You know, Evermore, I think, says a lot about Taylor as well, just like Mastermind does, but from a different perspective, kind of a more public-facing version of her. And that is my dream The ERAS Tour set list. Now, if that didn't make any sense to you, I totally understand. It's perfectly clear to me in my brain, but It's a lot of information to digest. I'm sure someone will very helpfully write out the set list in the comments below, and I will pin that when they do, so you can go and take a look at it there if this has just been all too much for you. Now, in terms of the looks, I don't really know what to do about the costuming for this, because if she's like going from like stage to stage all night long, she can't be doing like full costume changes. So if I was her stylist, what I would do is get her like a sparkly black bodysuit. You know, she would just put things on and take them off, and it would actually look like a different outfit. I would just do that consistently throughout the night. She came on to the first B stage with that Shake It Off outfit, and then she had the little romper underneath, then she put the jacket on, then she put the dress on. Like, you can do a lot of different things with that. So we could have like a leather studded jacket for Reputation, we could have a pink blazer for Lover, we could have obviously a cardigan for Folk Levermore, we could have a little bejeweled headband for Fearless, and ankle cowboy boots, because we don't want to go too crazy, for Debut. Do you see what I mean? Like, the accessories can mix it up, and the real thing here is going to be the production and the stage. So that is my idea. You can leave your comments below and let me know what you think of my concept. What would you like to see? What is a mashup that you would like to see? That was a question I asked on my podcast, Instagram, Evolution of a Snake. Go follow it and listen. We just hit 200,000 streams. We asked that the other day and we got some really interesting responses. And also, yeah, to address something that I feel like comes up a lot of people want Dear John or Would've, Could've, Should've to be on this, or even a mashup. I just think that that's too raw and too painful for Taylor. Like, I really don't think she's processed that yet. And the magic and specialness of those songs is that they are so intimate and vulnerable that she's probably never going to perform them, and that's okay. And I really like don't think that it's good to request those songs from her. Like, if you get the chance to ask her to play a secret song, I would not ask her to play Dear John, because like it just wouldn't occur to me, and I feel like the old fans, that would never have occurred to us either. But again, there's a new breed of Swiftie out there, and they are interesting. Okay, Swifties, I will see you in my live stream on Sunday, November 8th at 8 p.m. Singapore time, and we are going to be watching my me reaction video and just having fun and celebrating 10,000 subscribers. I will post it so you can watch it if you are not able to make it live. And I hope that you have a wonderful week. I will see you later.